Meanwhile, many of these homeowners who actually survived the flooding are now facing this new nightmare, which is that they have discovered, as Jeff pointed out, they have no flood insurance. It turns out many of these victims never got flood insurance because they had no idea that they actually even lived in flood zones. Worse still, many others claim they were flat out told they did not live in a flood zone. Joining me right now, James Donelon. He's the Louisiana Commissioner of Insurance. Commissioner, welcome. Good to have you here. This is obviously an incredibly difficult position that so many people there in your state are now in. What are they going to do?
Well, there is assistance available for uninsured and underinsured property owners. That's a FEMA program. But then again, the insurance program is a FEMA program as well, funded by the federal government. And our take-up in Louisiana at 21% is probably above the national average for residences insured for flood. The Baton Rouge area and Lafayette, both of which were devastated by these floods, is below that statewide average for reasons that are understandable. They haven't been flooded, as your report just said, in decades in either Lafayette or Baton Rouge. New Orleans has 39% take-up of the flood insurance program, but they have had a series of 100-year floods over the past 25 years that have taught the importance of getting flood insurance for property in these vulnerable areas.
Are people really able to get flood insurance, though, at an economical level cost in some of these areas? Because, you know, it's expensive stuff.
It can be expensive depending on your elevation and vulnerability. My wife and I have lived our entire lives below sea level. I tell my friends from out of state, sounds like we ought to be fish. But in truth and in fact, it is protected well, better than ever before, by the improved levee system that the Corps of Engineers put in place after Katrina and Rita. But it is very affordable. Flood insurance for the typical home in Louisiana costs $720 per year, about $60 a month. But there's kind of a deterrent to folks reaching in their pocket and committing to that expense when they make a loan, a federally backed mortgage, and are told, look, you're in a low-risk area, you don't have to get it. And the consumer, who may be buying their first home and tight budget, young kids to raise and educate, says, well, if the lender says I don't have to do it and that would protect him for free, why should I put that in my budget and come out of pocket for that?
I guess, Commissioner, one of my questions would be, if that loan is federally backed, then why isn't there a requirement, if you're in one of these flood zones, that you actually do have flood insurance? I mean, because effectively it's taxpayers on the hook.
Absolutely. And you're absolutely correct in questioning that point. But the federally backed, the regulations that require flood insurance only require it for vulnerable, high-risk areas. I make a tour of the state every year, just before hurricane season, every metropolitan area, and I tell folks all over our state every year, 10 years running now, best insurance buy a property owner can make in the state of Louisiana anywhere. From Shreveport to Grand Isle, from Monroe to Holly Beach, is the federally subsidized National Flood Insurance Program. No question about it. It benefits us in Louisiana more than any other state.
Commissioner, thank you very much for being with us today, and good luck down there. You got a lot of rebuilding on your hands.